Hey folks, today we are going to make some homemade fajitas. I'm going to tell you right now, if you have packages of fajita seasoning in your cabinet, just take a moment, pause the video, go throw it in the trash because you're never going to want to use that again. Of course, fajitas are a staple at every Mexican restaurant in America, but this might be the quintessential Tex-Mex dish. Fajitas are a staple at every Mexican restaurant, but it might be the most Tex-Mex dish out there. It originates in the Rio Grande Valley, which is basically North Mexico and South Texas. So here's a look at what we're going to use. We're going to use chicken. Traditionally, it's skirt steak, but a bunch of spices, some bell peppers, cornstarch. I never would have guessed that, but some onions, some tomatoes. So let's go ahead and we're going to use a tablespoon of cornstarch. I did not expect this ingredient. So cornstarch is basically a binder. It holds everything together, so no real surprise there. It's just I've never really cooked with it very much. Next, we're going to use some chili powder. Just 1 tablespoon of that. Remember, a tablespoon equals 3 teaspoons. So I was saying that originally skirt steak was used in the Rio Grande Valley. Basically, every cut of meat's been used since then. So let's go ahead and add in a tablespoon of kosher salt. So if you want to use strip steak, ribeye, shrimp, whatever, it's all good. It all works really well. Now we're going to put in a tablespoon of paprika. It gives you a nice smoky flavor. You can get smoked paprika, which is awesome, and I think that would work very appropriately here. This is an odd one for me. We're going to add a tablespoon of just granulated sugar. I never would have guessed that, but hey, this is what the whole channel is about, is trying new things and sharing what I learned with you guys. So yeah, we added a tablespoon of sugar. There goes a tablespoon of onion powder. Next up, we're going to put in a tablespoon of, what is this? Garlic. Yeah, basic garlic powder. Nothing exactly complicated here so far. And yeah, I do the voiceovers after I do the videoing. Then we have a tablespoon of cumin. If you've never cooked with cumin, it's a very dry, hard to describe, earthy flavor is probably the best term I can come up with. And then we're going to add, for a little bit of heat, about a half teaspoon of cayenne pepper. If you like the heat, you can certainly add more. I like the flavor. I don't like the burning sensation, so we're just going to add a little bit there. So give that a good stir, and we're going to set this aside. But I wish you could smell this. This already smells incredible. And I'm telling you, you'll never go back to a prepackaged fajita seasoning again. This was just too easy to make. Next, we're going to chop up our vegetation. So starting with a red and a green bell pepper. You can use certainly green bell peppers. They're a little bit cheaper. The flavor of the red bell peppers are a little bit more subtle, maybe a little sweeter. It's really not much of a difference. And the way you slice these up, there's just there's no one perfect way to do it. Just you can slice it in half, rip out the insides. The only thing is you just got to get the oh, what do you call that white stuff in the middle? Yeah, it's called the pith. It's basically, it's not a vein. It kind of looks like it, but it's just unappealing. It's edible. I don't think it has a lot of flavor. I wouldn't eat it unless I had to, but basically it's got to go. You can just carve that out with your butcher's knife. A paring knife works really, really well here, or you can just rip it out with your hands. And you can notice there's a bunch of little seeds. I'm not worried about it. It's all going to go in the pan. It's all edible. So if a few seeds work their way in, I'm not going to worry about it too much. And again, we're putting these in slices. About a 1/4 inch thick slices work really well for fajitas. And longer slices instead of fine cubes, because we want this to sit nicely and neatly inside a tortilla. Now we get to dissect our onion. We use this in so many dishes. So if you're new to cooking, this is not the only way, but it's the way I like to just slice off both my ends, slice it in half like that, and then peel off the top 2 layers. Sometimes you can get by with just the 1 layer, but if it's got any, if it looks like the whole of the onion, go ahead and peel it off. Then I like to slice these as thin as I want, and this is called a julienne slice. If we wanted to chop it, I would simply keep that julienne slices together, turn it around, and cross chop it, and works well. But this is going into a fajita, into a tortilla, so we want long, thin slices, and that's exactly what we get with this method. Now we get to chop some Roma tomatoes. I love these little guys. They're cheap and a lot of flavor to them. I like to chop off their heads and their butts, slice down the middle, turn it, slice down the middle, so you've got 4 sections, and then just cross cut. And that leaves about 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch. Little pieces, thick that is. Seems to be the perfect size, nothing complicated here. We just want little chunks of tomato. I like the Roma better than any slicing tomato because it holds its shape a whole lot better. A slicing tomato is just going to fall apart in the middle and mostly be goo. That's no good as a topping. Up next, we get to slice our chicken. Now, this is a chicken breast that has been thawed, but it's still cold. If you have a chicken breast that still has some firmness to it from being frozen, that's a good thing. It will cut a lot easier. Now, I'm just going to cut that in half, and notice that it's hard to look for, but as I pointed with a knife, where the grains were, we want to slice across the grain. Little difficult to find sometimes, but if you can figure out the way the grain goes, just slice across it and you'll get a much more tender chicken strip. And we're just going to throw those into our bowl of seasonings. We said traditionally this dish is made with skirt steak. If you can't figure out where a skirt steak is on the cow, it's very interesting. It is actually on the inside of the rib cage, one per side. If you watch the guys, the Bearded Butchers have a fantastic channel on YouTube. You can certainly find them butchering some skirt steak out. It's really kind of fascinating. It's very tender muscle, one that you cook on high heat, marinated a lot, and it's a delicious cut of meat. So just give that a good stir. Just get all the seasonings mixed everywhere so that can be marinating for a little bit. I needed a little bit of olive oil here, so I don't know, maybe I should have put the olive oil on as a binder first, but it still worked out really, really well. It's just going to go into a hot pan in a minute anyway. And just a thought, the next time I make this dish, I think I'll make the spices and the chicken the day before and just let it marinate in these spices overnight. That just sounds awesome to me. I can't imagine how that would be bad for the spices to be more intense and absorbed more into the chicken. That just sounds good. I think I will give it a shot. All right, let's set that guy aside and bring out our ugly cast iron skillet. Some are seasoned really well. This one, now that's a different show. Put it on high heat, and notice I had one onion in there. I could use a thermometer, but I like to just throw a couple of pieces of vegetation in to make sure it sizzles. So depending on your stove, how long that's going to take, well, that's going to be different for everybody. But the key is to already have the pan hot, so you've got a lot of residual heat when you throw these cold vegetables in. We don't want cold oil hitting the veggies because that will seep in instead of just searing them. So start with a hot pan and use a vegetable oil instead of something like olive oil. The veggie oil has a much higher smoke point and is much better for sauteing at high heat. Now our onions are starting to caramelize, and I wish you guys could smell this. I hope y'all try this dish. It's really simple, really delicious, and I can't say enough good things about it. Now go ahead and throw your chicken in. Again, chicken, shrimp, steak, whatever you want to use here. I can't imagine any of it being bad. Now, I will say if you are using chicken and you have it in strips like this, it does tend to clump together. So I'm just using a pair of tongs to stir it up and pick out strips and just toss them around the pan so that you don't have one big lump of chicken cooking, and that way it cooks a lot more evenly. Guys, I really hope you try this. It's so simple and absolutely delicious. And just a thought, we've got all that flavor burning onto the bottom of the pan. I wonder if we should deglaze with some chicken stock or even a little bit of a beer would probably work. All right, here I'm squeezing half a lime into the pan and just throw the lime in, and that adds just another level of complexity to it, another level of flavor. So don't skip that step. It is well worth it. Just a thought, since this is all cooked on a cast iron skillet, this could easily be cooked in a campfire or even like a backyard fire pit. That would be kind of nuts to try. Now we're going to grate some cheddar cheese. I prefer to use these blocks of Cabot cheddar. I buy them in these 2.5 pound blocks. It's just more economical that way, and it's certainly not going to go bad in my house. It's certainly worth the time to grade your cheese as needed. The pre-grated cheese has anti-caking agents in it, and to me it takes a lot of the fresh flavor out of the cheese. A lot of the sharpness is gone, and who needs an extra chemical placed in their food to start with? But look at all that beautiful cheddar right there. So start with whatever tortilla you like. These are just some flour tortillas. Popping them in the microwave for about 10 seconds to get them nice and warm. You can certainly warm them in your oven or just over a dry pan. Nothing complicated here, folks. We're just going to put the goodness in the tortilla and eat it. Some sour cream would be nice, of course. And a lot of times the way I serve fajitas at home is just put out all the different ingredients and let people fix their own. If they want more cheese or more tomatoes, they can certainly do that. But either way, folks, I thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I hope you guys try this one. It's really delicious.